Austin Peay State University is canceling a study abroad trip to West Africa over concerns about the Ebola virus. They say the school hopes to begin sending students back for studies abroad in the future, but right now there is too much risk. Meanwhile, the country's latest Ebola patient from Dallas is now in isolation at Emory University Hospital in Atlanta. Omar Villafranca has the latest.
29-year-old Amber Vincent and other health officials were wearing full hazmat suits while boarding a chartered flight from Dallas to Atlanta last night. But an unidentified man on the tarmac was not wearing protective gear as he walked within feet of the crew. CBS News chief medical correspondent John LaPook says, big mistake.
No sense whatsoever. That's not okay. I mean, fortunately, Nurse Vincent is in a protective suit, so maybe there is no virus on the outside there, but that's not protocol, that's for sure.
Vincent caught Ebola while treating Thomas Duncan, who died last week at Texas Health Presbyterian in Dallas. Days later, she flew from Dallas to Cleveland even after reporting a fever to the CDC. But health officials let her board, believing she was not high risk. CDC officials now say she should not have been allowed to fly. The Frontier plane Vincent took back to Dallas Monday made 5 additional trips before being taken out of service. The crew from her flight is now taking 21 days of paid quarantine, and the CDC is contacting passengers. Officials here at Texas Health Presbyterian are defending their procedures. They say workers followed federal guidelines when Duncan arrived and wore what was considered appropriate gear. There are now more stringent standards. Last night, workers disinfected a Cleveland school because a teacher may have had contact with an Ebola patient. 2 other Cleveland schools are closed because an employee may have been on the same Frontier plane as the Dallas nurse. Omar Villafranca, CBS News, Dallas.
In other news, a Hopkinsville teenager is still in the hospital after a violent sexual attack. Sources say the 15-year-old boy is a sophomore at Hopkinsville High School. He was at a house party on Lafayette Road over the weekend where he allegedly passed out. Officials say Dayton Jones, Tyler Perry, and a 17-year-old sexually assaulted him with a foreign object, causing serious internal injuries requiring critical care. Investigators say the accused also videoed the assault, then posted it on social media. Another 17-year-old was charged for having that video. All 4 are still in jail. Jones, who was kicked off the Arkansas State golf team because of his arrest, is being held on a $1 million bond. In Crockett County, a controversial picture has a lawman in trouble this morning. This is Murray City Police Chief Richard Stitz. This is his booking photo, which was taken after he was arrested last week for stalking and assaulting the mother of his child. Instead of wearing the required jail uniform, Stitz is holding up an inmate's shirt, and he has a cigar in his mouth. The Sheriff's Department is now conducting an internal affairs investigation. Leaders at Woodland Hills say after some recent changes, they're now confident breakouts like we saw in September will not happen again. At a community meeting with Bordeaux residents last night, officials outlined the steps they're taking to make the facility and the neighborhood more safe. The new manager of security at Woodland Hills, Mike Gordon, started this week. He has decades of experience. In an interview you're seeing first on 5, he said after seeing the chaos from the escapes, he knew he could make a difference.
There are a lot of people who said, why would you want to do this? Because I've seen it before, and I believe I can be part of a good team. You can't have therapeutic treatment if the staff doesn't feel safe. Because if the staff doesn't feel safe, the residents can't feel safe.
The number of kids housed at Woodland Hills has been cut from more than 100 to now just around 50, and the maximum capacity will now be 72. The staff ratio has also been increased to 2 workers for every 12 children. Only one of the original 33 escapees remains on the run. Demario Fisher was recently added to the TBI's most wanted list. If you see him or have any information about him, call police.